Hey guys, welcome back. It's your favorite Gimp with a Limp. We're going to jump right back in here to Company of Heroes with my Going Big Solitaire video playthrough. Make sure you watch previous videos. We're not going to go over all the good stuff we already covered. Go and pick up right where we left off. Remember, I had finished my turns on the previous video, and we got to finish up the AI rounds, and then effectively we're all going to pass because we don't have any other units to spend the rest of our command points on. So we will draw a card for the AI. They're going to get Covering Fire. Now, they don't have any yellow units on the board yet, so we go down to the next one, Green Unit. Well, we have our green unit here that has not been moved. Remember, the other one moved towards a victory point in our previous video. Now, what it's telling us to do is to do that green victory point card. I'll throw it up here in the corner again, but effectively this is the same card same instruction card we had the previous round. So it's telling us again to go towards a victory control point, reading order and all that good stuff. While our options are limited on this one, since we only have the one unit that can be moved, so he's going to go towards his closest victory control point, which, let's tilt the camera up just a little bit. You guys will have to forgive me because my good electronic little miniature tripod with the gyros and stuff has fully crapped out on me. So all I have is a little cheap manual one for now. Can't afford to replace it just yet, but I will get a new one as soon as I can. We do have victory point here and victory point here in the building. This one's going to be probably farther away because of this blocking terrain. This red line here means they can't go through it, if you remember. So if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, again 6 to here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. One hex further going towards the building. So he is going to go in this direction. So we'll count ourselves 3 hexes in this direction. We'll pop down our 3 command points and move him right there. Remember, just in case you had missed it from our previous videos, that for the mobile commander, to keep things even, I did drop him down 1 command point per round, since I am going against 2 AIs. So instead of him having 4 and 5, he's going to have 3 and 4, just like our other commander. And just to show you guys this real quick, because I actually hadn't shown this, I realized on the previous videos, make sure you got your little marker here for what round it is. So when we move to our next round, we're going to move that up, and that's going to tell us what units are going onto the board for the AI. All right, so we're going to draw our next card for our feeble commander, and we have gotten Tactical Advance. So we've actually finally got a new order to go on, and I'll throw the instruction card up here in the corner. We have got the green control point. So that's telling us that a green unit that is not on a player-controlled or neutral control point. Well, that's this one right here, because that's the only one we got left to move. So that we've already determined which unit. Looking at the bottom of the card, it's telling us what we're doing with that unit. We're going to move towards the nearest control point the AI does not control and has no units on. So it's first going to go towards victory points and then the reading order. But looking at it, it can actually get to a control point relatively easily within its movement. Right here is a manpower control point, and I don't see any reason why I would put him in any other direction. Yeah, there is a control point or a victory point over there, and there's a victory point right here behind that building, if you see right there on that bridge, but all the directions are moving him towards that. They're actually in a really good position here in the center of the board. They've got 2 green units, and they're actually really good across the board. I think maybe I should have started on this. We'll see. But let's take and grab his command points here to throw down for him. That's going to be 3. And we'll grab ourselves, and just to save myself a little time, because we're getting ready to go into that phase now anyway, I'll go ahead and have the flag on here. We're using red for the AI because they are gaining control here. And they're going to have that. Now remember, for the AI, it doesn't matter, right? Now matters kind of for the victory points because that's what we're fighting over. They don't get victory points. They don't get these manpower points. They don't get munitions or fuel or any of the other good stuff. Ooh, and I actually missed it. There's a fuel right here, but he was going towards victory points anyway, so not a big deal. But they don't get those points. That's one of the things that I think that helps when it comes to the AI system of this game, is that you don't have to keep track of those items. You only have to keep track of that for yourself. The problem I'm gonna kind of anticipate for the AI for this is the fact that there is no variability. And what I mean by that is when you're looking at these cards, it's always going to be the same units. So you can change the maps and then change what faction you're playing, but you're always kind of know what the AI's opening gambit is going to be, which I kind of think goes along with the video game a little bit in a way. They can operate rather similar, you know, but the computer can kind of anticipate some of your moves and react to it. And I think they've come up with the card system to kind of react to you, but they're always going to deploy the same units. So it might, just as a thought, just tossing it out, if you play Solitaire a bunch and you kind of burn through all the commanders and you get good at it and you want something different, you could try the variability. Some of these have options where if you have more control points, it either changes the unit or it sends out more units. And instead of doing that on just some of the deployments, do it on all of them. You know, it's your game. If you want to increase the difficulty, why not? Go for it. Roll for it. You know, 1 to 2, it's green. 3 to 4, it's yellow. 5 to 6, red. Or 5 red, 6 blue. Something like that. You know, just a random thought off the top of my head. But anyway, that's where we are for the AI. And now we're actually done with the second turn. But we're effectively done with the maneuver phase for this round because everyone has spent as many command points as they can. They don't have anything else. We've all only got 2 sets of units, and these units have the maximum amount of points that can be spent on them so far. So we're good there. We're actually going into the damage phase. Now, we're not going to get to actually see the damage phase in this video because none of my units and none of their units are on top of each other. The Americans and these guys pushing in here from the top, kind of close, but nowhere near close enough because remember, sight in this game is only 2 hexes. It looks like a lot because these hexes are so dabbling big, but it's really not that far being 2 hexes. Now, remember, your mortars and some of your other heavier vehicles can shoot farther than they can see. So you can scout with your lighter vehicles, your yellows, your greens, have them push out, get into cover somewhere, and they can kind of extend that sight line because the unit firing doesn't have to be within those 2 hexes, right? So just as an example, looking at our U.S. headquarters here, you can see the mortar team can fire out up to 4 hexes. That's what these little targeting indicators mean, but they can't fire adjacent, but they can only see 2 hexes. So by themselves, just themselves on their own, they can only attack a single hex, right? If they're just operating on their own. They can't hit the hexes adjacent to them. They can only hit the hexes out 2 hexes around from them, right? But if they have another unit out there that can extend that sight line. So 1, 2, he could only hit out to here, but with these guys here, that extends it to where he could hit out to his full range. Now, we'll see this later on when we get into damage phase because the guys are going to get real close to each other. But that's where this little defense matrix chart is going to come into play. Some types of units get natural defense rolls against certain types of attacks, like green units get a natural defense roll against armor piercing. Tanks get immunity to anti-infantry and fire, cool. And then if you're using the advanced rules, that's what this little grayed out icon means. It means if they're attacked from the front, they do get a defense roll from that. So that's where these little dice are going to come in. We'll take and set however many of these dice are out there with the type of attack that they perform on the enemy unit. So like our infantry guys here, or actually infantry guys here, they would set out a single anti-infantry die on whatever target that they were firing at. And then that die could potentially be rolled if that unit had defensive cover or they had defense against that type of attack. So that does mean we can go ahead and go into our supply phase. And remember, the round sequence is on the back of your level 2 buildings. If you need to take a peek at it, gives you a chance to look at it up until you unlock it. But there is an order to this. First is capturing the control points, then adjusting your incomes, then you collect whatever you've gotten, and then you do your purchasing. So our 2 points out here, we get to go ahead and throw our little pretty little flags, bam, just like this, on there to signify the fact that we have captured this. And now we have gained an extra fuel and an extra manpower. All right, so here's our example of our supply phase. Let's run through it here real quick. Remember, we're bumping up our manpower and we're bumping up our fuel. Perfect. All right, so now this shows us what we're getting. Don't have any victory points coming in yet, unfortunately, and we don't get them for destroying enemy vehicles and units like we normally would in a head-to-head game. We only get them for capturing those control points. This means we're going to get 2 more manpower, we're going to get 1 more munition, and we're going to get 2 more fuel. So that gives us our stockpiles. Now I'm looking at it like, okay, what do I want to purchase? Well, I think I'm good on these guys here. I want better units, so I'm going right off the bat into upgrading this. So that's where these are coming from. Remember, the Americans do have the special ability to go ahead and go for the high level building, but it does cost more. I'm going to skip that because there's a specific unit I do want, which are these machine gunners. So right now I've spent 3 fuel and 1 manpower. Come down here to 4, come down manpower to 6, and now we have unlocked our second tier building. I'm going to go ahead and spend another 4 on our manpower to get myself a set of machine gunners. Look at that. Don't those guys just look awesome? That's so cool. That has the little machine gun right there at the front. There's machine guns, there's mortars, and there's anti-tank guns you can put on these little things, and they just look cooler than shit. I love them. Now, here's the thing. Where am I going to put these guys? Because I can put them here or I could put them over there, and I got a feeling that I'm going to need these guys here, because if I can push them forward and get them in there, I think I can take that northern victory control point and try to get those points oozing in as quick as possible. So I can put him right along here, and I guess it's really not going to matter. So we're going to set this guy right there. Now it does leave me some other supplies I could spend, and I'm trying to decide if I want to spend the points for the extra upgrade, because I could spend the munitions, right, to get these machine gunners to have an extra infantry die when they attack, so they would have 2 instead of 1. But you know what? I think I want to save my munitions. I want to try to use them here, and I want to try to use them on my heavier vehicles. And is there anything else I want? Well, unfortunately, the only other thing that I can afford right now is this Jeep. And that Jeep just is not that good. It's only got 2 health. If I had 1 more manpower, I would probably go ahead and spend it to get this Greyhound. Get it out there, have it start put some rounds down range, it'll recon, it moves fast, all that good stuff. But I just don't think I'm gonna waste it for a Jeep, because that's 1 health less. It can get busted up pretty quick. I mean, it would have a little bit of resistance to small arms fire. It can capture. I don't know. Oh, I'm so confused because I want them both. But yeah, we're gonna save. We're gonna save for better vehicles. And we're going to just get the machine gunners, because I doubt I'm going to get much more than 2 income on these guys. So I need to spend these points as wisely as possible. And I really want to try to invest into some heavy vehicles later, because I see that as my best chance to win. Get something heavy coming in. Wolverines and Shermans. Ooh, that'd be a good thing to get right there. Cost 1 less fuel. That'd be really, really nice to get. All right, so we're over here at our Russians. Let me back the camera up so you guys can see a little bit. And I went ahead and put in the cubes for them. The Russians do have an extra bit of manpower coming in, but unfortunately, remember, we couldn't get the other manpower node just yet. We will get that on our following turn. So this is where we're at. And I'm definitely going to go ahead, pop them over here. And that was what, 3 fuel and 1 manpower, right? Yep. 3 fuel. So we'll drop down to 3, 1 manpower. Not too bad. And I think for them, I am actually going to go with this T-70 light tank instead. I can go ahead and get a little armor on the board. Doesn't have a whole lot of health. I get it. Not a whole lot of range, but it's putting out some armor piercing and it's putting out some anti-infantry. Yeah. I mean, and I could spend the munitions to make it to where he has these abilities as well. The capture ability, and I believe that's a penalty. I'll have to check that real quick. Now that says no fire for that. Like I'm wondering if that means he can't fire when he captures, or he just can't fire period and gains the ability to capture. So that kind of sucks. I'm not going to go with that. We're going to take and have our little T-70 tank here. Let me hold this up so you guys can see it as good as possible. That thing is just a thing of beauty. Look at that tiny little cute little tank there. Going to put up some rounds downrange. Now there are these nifty little trays that you can put your vehicles on. Gives you spaces where you can place the dies, so you have your information of any upgrades that they have, and you can keep damage cubes with them. We'll go ahead and put him on one of these just to start it out, but I don't think I'm going to be needing the little tray here with him too much. And I'm trying to decide where we're going to go because it's left or right with these guys. And I'm almost thinking my better bet is to push my forces right, because I don't think I'm going to be able to hold this left side too long until some American reinforcements come in. All right, I'm holding the camera up just to let you guys see real quick. Remember, I got my guy here, and I need to throw a flag on that to remind myself I have captured it. But I got a guy here, this guy here, but there's 2 greens coming in from over here. So I can fight to try to take that, or I can try to overwhelm them over here because they've got less forces and they're only going to have 1 yellow coming in. And if the yellow comes this way, I have armor piercing and anti-infantry I can put against him and take him out real quick. So I think focusing in this direction is my best chance to get victory points. And I might just send some conscripts later over there to try to hold them off. And speaking of which, I did forget to drop that down for the manpower, which I have to pull down to there. All right. So we're going to have our tank come in over here, and I do need to have him pointed at a hex side. Yeah, I might regret this decision later, but I'm going to have him come here so we can try to focus in this direction and get one or both of these. Maybe swarm them here. Give up here, just put enough here to kind of hold on to that point. All right, so I actually changed my mind. We're going to take and bring in another T-70 light tank. Over here. I went ahead and spent it down. That spent out the remainder of both my manpower and fuel points. But screw it. This way, I've got a tank coming in on each side. I've got mortar teams on each side. All they've got is small arms fire, which is not going to be able to damage these guys. So I can race them up while the mortar teams take these areas and kind of cover from my peoples. Yeah. I think that's going to work. These tanks can go forward. He can get up here, be in the front, kind of take the hit for them. That way I've got that on lockdown. I'll do the same thing over here to the right. I think that's going to work. And there we go. We'll top our little area off with a nice little flag here. And I'll be able to get some extra manpower on the next round to kind of make that make up for that. So I'll have 3 manpower coming in around. I can get at least a group of conscripts around if I want to just keep throwing them out and then save up fuel. And when I've got enough fuel points saved, I can dump it into another tank to send out. I mean, even these little light tanks, they'll take some damage And at least I've got some armor piercing already on the board, ready when they've got some heavier vehicles coming up. I like that idea. Okay, so that's where we're finishing up this round. The Soviets are looking good, and the Americans are looking pretty good. I like that machine gun we got over there. But remember, you guys aren't going to see what they're bringing out until the next round. That's when their stuff comes out. It's no big deal though. For the next round, they both have just a single yellow disc coming out, which is their recon vehicle. So I know effectively they have roughly a Jeep that I have to worry about. Might be more heavily armored car, or remember, it could be an event, although any of these could be events as well. Might not be troops. But that does give me a chance. I'm liking this idea of these tanks pushing forward and kind of covering for my infantry while they control some points. And I really need to get the Soviets in here to grab something. But the problem is now I've got enough stuff on the board that I don't have enough points to mess with all of them, right? But here's the thing. Next round, the only ones that are going to have to move are going to be this one, and this one. He's just going to fall back 1 point. To go there, and a second point to set up. All right, so that leaves me 1 command point. Unfortunately, the extra command point I'm probably not going to be able to spend towards anything. They're already set up as well. But the rest of my command points I can dump into these guys to race them forward as much as possible to get stuck in. And the Americans are going to be doing all kinds of moving around. And I know I need to get some vehicles on board for them next supply phase, because all they've got is infantry right now. Oh yeah, I definitely love this game. Freaking highly recommend it. I'm telling you, they haven't sent me anything. This is me just telling you guys, I freaking love this game, and it looks gorgeous. I mean, just freaking gorgeous on the table. Definitely check out that 1.5 Kickstarter. If you are at least remotely interested, you will not be disappointed. They did about as good a job translating an RTS into a tabletop game as I've seen anyone do before. I mean, flat phenomenal. I got to give it to them. All right, but that's going to be it for this one. You guys, if you have any questions, suggestions, anything like that, as always, feel free to put it down below. Do appreciate you guys tossing the suggestions on the previous videos of where my guys can go, certain tactics I can try out. That's awesome. Keep that up. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.